It is estimated there are more than 552,000 unhoused individuals in America. That's according to a 2021 study by PolicyAdvice.net. And in Miami, the city approved a new alternative plan for its homeless population. It would create a homeless camp on an island called Virginia Key Island, just off the coast of Miami proper. But here's the catch here. The approved homeless camp is directly next to a sewage plant. Homeless advocates have been highly critical of the plan. Others say this could help clean up the city, and it needs it. Joining me now for more is Theo Henderson, creator of the podcast We the Unhoused. Theo, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think about this island camp? Is it a good idea or a bad idea?
It's a deplorable idea, but it's on track with a lot of cities that are trying to erase the visibility of houselessness by putting them in far-flung places with poor support systems and poor contact with their communities that they are part of.
Well, we spoke to a local business owner. She is very concerned about this plan. Let's listen to her quickly.
There are children here. This is a beach. This is a beach, and we're going to bring a large population of primarily homeless men, because most homeless people are male, and we're going to put them next to a swimming beach where, people are running around in swimsuits. And I don't know that that's a good mix.
I mean, she's concerned about potentially homeless individuals being near children. Do you understand where she's coming from? Or in your eyes, is this just another case of not in my backyard?
It is another case of not in my backyard, but she's also implying that a majority of unhoused men are child predators or sex offenders, which is incorrect. The second thing, she's woefully uneducated. There is a wide swath of houseless individuals, families with mothers with children. We have a growing elder relation. Yes, News has just sent out a report talking about the boomer generation that is out on the street. So for her to say that, that's just a dog whistle to other and ostracize people that are in very precarious situations to create a violent environment for them, or a erasure campaign that they like to say.
I mean, so people are saying, if this may be voluntary, that people will only go if they want to, that they will be connected with services. What is your fear? What is your concern? What could happen if you congregate or push homeless individuals into an island or a camp by themselves?
Well, that's a very good question, because we're experiencing this right now in Los Angeles. They create this narrative saying that this is a voluntary thing. We have an ordinance called 4118 here that is against the law for any unhoused person to stand, sit, or lie. And if they are found standing and sitting or lie, voluntary or not, they, with the offer of shelter, they could be sent to jail. They also passed another legislation that makes it against the law for unhoused people to repair their bikes. So we are in particular across the city, like in Tennessee, that makes it a felony to be unhoused. We are in the beginnings of a grand type of erasure campaign, a detention center, concentration camps, that we're just trying to weaponize it by using polite talk in order to hide what our true motives are.
Well, and you mentioned concentration camp. The Miami commissioner was responding to some of that backlash today. Let's bring up that sound as well.
In my opinion, this is not an encampment that is going to be a concentration camp. Nobody's forcing anybody.
So, Theo, do you see this as a kind of concentration camp? That's inflammatory language.
Yes, absolutely it is. And I find it very bizarre, because most of these people that are pontificating about what is not have never had the lived experience to be living out in the street. I wish to put the people that keep saying that, put them out there for 2 years with none of the monies, none of the salaries, to live into the same environments that unhoused people who are forced to live into, and put them in the most carceral solutions, and then have them come back and deny that it's not concentration camps or carceral solutions to erase the humanity of unhoused people. But they don't have the courage to do that.
I hear you. And I mean, I think your position is very clear. There is a problem. There is an issue here. So what would you recommend Miami and cities like it do instead?
Well, here's a couple of things. The first thing, we're going to have to face the problem that we're growing in inflation. Cost of living is untenable for all people, not just unhoused men. People with families that are working, They're elderly population that have worked all their lives in low-income jobs. We have got to have an education campaign on what it is to be living in supposedly the greatest country on earth, but we demonize poverty. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we need to lower the rents and get down on these developers that make these ridiculous condos and skyrise apartments they lay empty, and create permanent supportive housing with services, and basically make a downturn on the rent and give livable wages for people to live. And also, one of the things that I was reading in the article that I need to talk about, because we are in an opioid crisis with housed and unhoused people. Creating a zero tolerance is not meeting people where they are to coping in these situations. We need harm reduction sites. We need education, because it's a traumatic experience to be unhoused, even though that there is a very small percentage of unhoused that are on substances. But we also have to have a less as the police are not the solution to houselessness. We have a carceral solution. We believe the police are our saviors, and we have spent too much money here in Los Angeles on solutions that have been 20 years that haven't been fruitful. And this is what we got.